Hey, GED students, first word of advice. Don't get intimidated by the word problem. Don't get intimidated by the ugly answers. This is actually easier than it seems. Let's take a look. It says the mean or arithmetic average. Now, some of you guys are already mad at me. You're like, Kate, you didn't teach me mean. You didn't teach me arithmetic average yet. You're kind of a jerk. Hey, listen. This problem's about to tell you how to find mean, and it's going to use words that we learned in this unit 0. Okay, so the mean or arithmetic average can be computed by taking the, look, there's our vocab word, taking the quotient. The quotient. What is a quotient? It's an answer when you divide. We are going to divide something, okay? We're going to take the quotient of the sum of a set of numbers. The sum. We're going to take the quotient. We're going to divide the sum divided by the number of numbers. The number of numbers. The sum of some numbers divided by the number of those numbers within the set. Which of the following expressions could be used to find the mean of a set of 4 unknown numbers? E, F, G, and H. So first of all, I can totally rule out one of these answers altogether because it doesn't even involve a quotient. Take a look at B. B is not a quotient of a sum of numbers and the number of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead, we see the 4 shoved up against those parentheses. That's not a quotient. That's a product. This is a product of the sum of numbers and the number of numbers. And so, boom. You might say, but Kate, I don't know what E, F, G, and H are. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, okay? I'm looking for one where the sum of numbers is divided by the number of numbers. Now, can you see the next one I can rule out? The next one has my quotient in the wrong order. The next one I can rule out has the number of numbers divided by the sum. Not what they asked me for, not what they want. Okay, so that narrows me down to A and C. And a lot of students would tell me, well, Kate, those two things say the same thing. We see the sum of numbers divided by 4, and we see the sum of numbers divided by 4. And so I think you're kind of a jerk. These two answers are the same. Which one's better than the other? And I would say to you that the two answers are not the same. And this is why we come back to both lesson 4. So 0.5 when we talked about order of operations, and 0.1 way back when we talked about the basic ops. Okay, so when we talked about the basic ops, one important thing we said is I begged you not to use the divide by sign anymore. And the reason why I said is because the divide by sign is not strong enough. All it can tell us is to divide. However, the fraction bar for divide by, it means the same thing. It tells us to divide by. However, it's powerful enough to group. Everything on top of the fraction bar is going to be part of the group which gets divided. That's not true with A, okay? And that has to do with that order of operations we learned. If you look at A and you see that divide by, the only thing being divided by 4 is H. I say that again, the only thing being divided by 4 is H. And you say, why? All the other things came before it. Yeah, but remember in the order of operations, we don't simplify left to right. We would have done this division before the addition. You say, I wouldn't have said, but that's what you wrote that you would do. That's what that problem says you're going to do. So that expression says divide first and add afterwards. You would have had to have a grouping here in order to divide that whole sum by 4. Like the problem said. The problem said divide the sum, all the numbers added together, by 4. Now, that being said, if you look at C, I don't need parentheses because that fraction bar can both divide and group. This says take this entire sum first, right? We would have done that grouping. And then divide by 4. C is the right answer. Ooh, tricky. And I have good news for you. I want you to go ahead and go take a look at your GED formula sheet. You say, Kate, I haven't even seen a formula sheet yet. No, we'll get it introduced in Unit 1. We'll play with it a ton in Unit 3 if you're still around. But the formula sheet actually tells you it has the mean formula on there, and it looks a lot like that. Okay. And you can see a problem like this on math or on science. So super important you don't get intimidated. All right. Got any questions about this? Drop it in the comments. Otherwise, happy learning.